Thank you, Chair. I can confirm that the meeting is now live.
All right, thank you. So yes, it's 3:02 and welcome to the October 26th meeting of the Heritage Advisory Committee. I should note that the Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. And the municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaties signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. So to get right down to business, item number 2 is the approval of minutes from our October 5th meeting. It's usually fairly straightforward. I just received the minutes literally 5 minutes ago, and I was wondering if anyone else had received the minutes, or if
I've seen them, sir. I'll move the minutes circulated.
All right. Do we have a seconder to approve these minutes?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, councillors. All those in favor of accepting the minutes from our October 5th meeting?
Aye.
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 Okay, so that motion is passed. And next item is the approval of the order of business and approval of additions or deletions. I should ask Simon if there are any additions or deletions. I don't believe there are, but
Thank you, Chair. There are no requests for additions or deletions received through the clerk's office.
excellent. Okay, so can I have somebody to propose that we accept the order of business, or approve the order of business, I should say.
It's Cassandra. I approve that we order the business as noted on the agenda.
Sandra, thank you very much. Can I get a seconder for that? Oh, Leslie is mute, but thank you very much, Leslie. So all those in favor of the order of business, can I hear an aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Aye.
Thank you all. Any nays? No. Okay. Number 4, business arising out of the minutes. There, as far as I know, there is none, unless anyone would like to bring some to my attention. Going once. No. Okay. Item 5, a call for declarations of conflict of interest. Today we have one item on the agenda, and it's to look at a property owned by Dalhousie University. So if anyone has any conflicts of interest.
So again, Jennifer Clark-Hines, I would like to declare a conflict as Dalhousie is my employer.
All right, so Jennifer Clark-Hines will be recusing herself for this this issue. Thank you. Again, there is no deferred business, so we can skip over that. Again, I will double check with Simon that we have not received any new correspondence, petitions, or delegations waiting to address us.
Thank you, Chair. No correspondence has been received to circulate to members of HAC.
Okay. And any information items brought forward? Again, I do not believe there are any. So item number 9, I jump right into the heart of things. This is case number H00525, and it's a request made by a third party to include 1460 Oxford Street in Halifax in a registry of heritage properties. And I believe we are going to have a Jenny Luger is going to discuss this with us. So I will hand this over to her.
Thank you, Chair. Everybody can see my screen?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, excellent. So as the Chair mentioned, today we are here to discuss H00525, which is the request to include 1460 Oxford Street in the Registry of Heritage Property for the Halifax Regional Municipality. My name is Jenny Lugar. I am a Heritage Planner with the Heritage Property Program here at HRM. So on December 13th, 2021, a third-party application was made by the Halifax Military Heritage Preservation Society to consider the inclusion of 1460 Oxford Street in the Registry of Heritage Property for the Halifax Regional Municipality. 1460 Oxford Street, as was previously mentioned, is owned by Dalhousie University and was used as the residence for the university president for much of its history. It's located on Oxford Street, shown on the slide here, south of the intersection with Coburg Road and across from the Dalhousie University Studley campus. The property, shown in the image here, is located on a stretch of Oxford Street, which hosts several institutional uses, including the Dallas Dudley campus, of course, the Beth Israel Synagogue, the First Baptist Church of Halifax, and Armbury Academy. I'll go through each of the evaluation criteria categories as usual, and I'll pause after each one to allow HAC to deliberate. The first category is age. Construction of the residence, which was known at the time as Oakville when it was built, was begun in 1867 and completed in 1868. Based on the completion date of 1868, staff recommend a score of 13 points for age. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, so item number 1 is the age. This is something we don't have an awful lot of wiggle room with, but 13 corresponds with buildings of a similar age. So I suggest we accept a 13 for scoring on the age for this building.
This
It's
is Marissa. I would say 13.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. This is pretty straightforward. So, all right. Unless anyone, yep. Simon 13. Thank you very much. So I'll pass it back to Jenny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The second category is historical importance, and in this case, we're looking at historical relationships. 1460 Oxford Street has associations with its original owner, Levi Hart, with Prime Minister Richard B. Bennett, and with several Dalhousie presidents. Levi Hart, shown on the slide here, was the original owner who commissioned the property and was a merchant who traded in the West Indies and in the United States. Hart is known to have supplied Confederate blockade runners with coal and other goods during the American Confederate South's efforts in the war, and therefore, due to the role that he played in supporting the Confederacy, staff encouraged that Hart's contributions to this category be discounted. Dalhousie alumnus and later Prime Minister Richard B. Richard B. Bennett financed Dalhousie University's purchase of the property for the purpose of a president's residence, and went on to later donate $750,000 to his alma mater. Bennett was a contentious prime minister who is known for unsuccessfully navigating the country through the Great Depression. But in spite of this, he is also known for his campaign to encourage women to run for political office and for his personal charity. He's reported to have spent his evenings reading letters written by desperate Canadians during the Depression, and is known to have donated upwards of $35.4 million of his own money to such families. As the president's residence, 1460 Oxford Street also served as the home of several presidents, including Arthur Stanley Mackenzie, Carlton Stanley, and Alexander E. Kerr. Dr. Mackenzie is noteworthy as the first non-reverend president of Dalhousie, and also for how instrumental he was in the growth and expansion of Dalhousie, including facilitating the major relocation from Grand Parade, which is where current Halifax City Hall is located, to the Studley campus. Dr. Mackenzie was the president during the purchase of Oakville. Dr. Stanley was a somewhat contentious president who attempted to overhaul university policy and was known to have ruled with an iron fist, though some key reforms towards modernization were made as a result of his tenure. And finally, Dr. Kerr was a Louisbourg, Nova Scotia native and had a successful ministerial career prior to his appointment as president. He oversaw the arrival and education of World War II veterans and the construction of several prominent Dalhousie buildings, making him one of the most celebrated university presidents to date. Based on the property's important role in the history of Dalhousie University, the associations with prominent Dal presidents, and its national associations through Prime Minister Robert B. Bennett, staff recommend a score between 11 to 15 points. I will hand it back over to the chair.
All right, thank you very much. So we've have a range suggested to us of 11 to 15 points based on the home's historic importance. Does anyone want to suggest somewhere we can start? Somewhere between 11 and 15.
I'm comfortable with the 13, sir.
So you're a 13, thank you.
Cassandra, that was the number I was thinking of too, so I'd support 13.
Okay, yeah. Anyone differ? 13 is sort of right down the middle, so sounds good. 13 is what it is.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So on to item 3.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The third category is the significance of the architect or builder. Historical research was unable to determine who the original architect or builder was for 1460 Oxford Street. As a matter of interest, the report does note that Andrew Cobb completed some interior renovations in the 1920s following Dalhousie's purchase of the property. However, as these were only interior renovations, this should be considered interesting historical information, of course, but should not contribute to the score awarded by HAC due to the fact that the Heritage Property Act does not apply to the interior of privately owned buildings. Therefore, for this category, staff recommend a score of 0. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Well,
you.
Mr. Chair, I'll keep consistent with my philosophy that I don't think the 0 is warranted. I would believe at least a 1 should be given because the building has been built, it's still standing. Not having the records doesn't mean it's still not significant of who the builder was. So I don't believe in casting a 0. I would give a 1.
All right, thank you, Councillor. I certainly agree. It's rather depressing to have to award a 0 when we don't have the information. And in this case, I would imagine that the builder certainly employed somebody who was well known. Unfortunately, we just don't know who it is. Anyone else care to chime in on whether we awarded a 0 or perhaps a 1?
Hi, it's Iona. I would agree with the 1. I don't believe it should have a 0 if we don't know the information.
Okay. Anyone else? Seem to be leaning toward a 1.
I would agree as well, Lois. In the days when it was built, it wouldn't have been given to any inferior local builder. It would have been given to among the best.
Yeah, I suspect that's very true. All right, so I hear 1. If anyone differs, maybe we could hear from you. And if not, perhaps we could award it a 1 in this category. A category that I believe is up for revision in terms of how we score it in the future. So that's something to look forward to. But in the interim, go for a 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This category evaluates architectural merit for construction type. The residence at 1460 Oxford Street was built of light frame wood construction with a brick and granite masonry foundation. This is a moderately common construction type for this period, and staff are recommending a score of 1 to 3 for this category. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right, 1 to 3. Again, I'll ask the floor for any suggestions on how we might score this section.
It's Cassandra. Even though it may be common, it is grand with the arching windows at the top. I don't know if that would be considered a widow's walk on the roof. The 4 chimneys, the graceful entryway. It's maybe common but lovely.
Yeah, I agree. I was surprised when I read this was fairly common because it looks very uncommon to me. But anyone else? Anyone else have any thoughts on scoring?
Well, has anybody given a score yet? Like they stopped soon. 1, I'd give it at least a 3.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was surprised by the report as well, but it's a unique building, very beautiful.
Yeah, so
It may be an early example, but there would be few from the 1860s remaining that have that much merit for their architectural or construction. It is outstanding.
all right, so I'm definitely hearing coming toward the higher, like a 3.
A 3.
Great. All right.
Can we go a little bit higher? Like, no, staff has recommended 3, but could we put, it sounds like a number of us are identifying that this is perhaps more than somewhat rare or an early example. Perhaps maybe putting this in the higher 4 or 5.
Mr. Chair, could I interject very briefly?
This is Jenny.
Yep, this is Jenny. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just
please.
wanted to remind the committee that we do look at both architectural merit for both the construction type and the style. So the next category that we're looking at will be for the style of the construction, which I think is what some of the committee members are referring to here. Here on this slide, we're specifically looking at the actual construction type, which is light frame wood construction with a brick and masonry foundation.
Yeah, I take
Thank
your
you
point.
for the reminder, Jenny. I'll retract that former comment.
But did you want to perhaps dial it back a little
Yep,
from a 3
Dial it back to 3.
to 3? Okay, which is still fairly high, but excellent. Okay, so 3. So now on to 4B. Sure about its decorative merits.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So category 4B evaluates architectural merit for the building style. The residence was constructed in the Italianate style, which was a popular building style between 1850 and 1890. It's one of 2 original twin mansions. Oakville was built for Levi Hart on Oxford Street, while the mansion next door, which was called Armbray, was built for his business partner, John T. Wilde. The Armbray Italianate mansion has since been demolished, but was located on the site of the current Armbray Academy next door to Oakville here. There are a number of noteworthy Italianate mansions in Halifax. However, this is a rare example in this neighborhood where the majority of the neighborhood was built during the turn of the century and at the beginning of the 20th century. This residence is an excellent example of the Italianate style, featuring several of the key Italianate elements, including a hipped roof, a heavily decorated brackets, a round-headed windows, and I believe, as was pointed out, a rooftop belvedere with a widow's walk. The architectural style is a rare example of Italianate mansion in this neighborhood, and likewise is an excellent example of the style, especially given that it has a surviving belvedere. Staff recommend a score of between 7 and 10 points for this category. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And so this is perhaps where we can express our appreciation with a higher score. And staff themselves, of course, recommend a higher score, anywhere between 7 and, whoops. Sorry, 7 and 12, was it?
7 and 10.
7 and 10, I apologize.
Okay.
So do we hear any thoughts on how we have to score this section? Very enthusiastic a moment ago. Does anyone think it deserves a 10?
This is Marisha. I'm going to go with a 10. We've all identified these things. There's a lot of, yeah, I'm going to go with the 10.
All right, yep, 10 from Marisha. Anyone care to second that, or?
This is Iona. I would agree with the 10.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Heard someone
Cassandra.
else?
I would as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's worth a 10 as well. It's beautiful. I think 10 is probably acceptable for this. Simon?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 5th category is architectural integrity. 1460 Oxford Street has excellent architectural integrity, both in terms of the original layout from the exterior and the physical condition. Only very minor alterations have been made, including a small addition to the rear of the first floor and the removal of part of the rear veranda. Architectural features such as window moldings, bracketing, frieze work, and dentils have been excellently maintained by Dalhousie University in the nearly 100 years of their ownership, as can be seen when looking at the photo on the left part of the slide from 1900 versus the photo from 2022. Based on this, staff recommends a score of 11 to 15 points for integrity. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, 11 to 15 points for its integrity, which is largely intact. I guess that's one of the pros of having only essentially 2 owners over the house's entire history. So I would argue for a fairly high score in this section. Does anyone care to actually put a number on it? No.
It's Cassandra. I would say 14. With the deck removed at the back, maybe we need to note that and therefore take a point off, but it's obviously an amazingly original shape.
We hear a 14. Is everyone happy with 14? I think I would be happy with that. I do want to ask one question. Are there, this is seemingly a huge lot, and I'm wondering if there were any outbuildings that have been since demolished, or
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. Not that were identified in the report that we know of.
Okay. So the entire lot is perhaps still retaining its integrity. So I've heard of 14. I would echo that. Anyone else? Perhaps 14 then. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The sixth and final category is the property's relationship to the surrounding area. As was just mentioned, this is a large lot. It is one of the early rural estates in the Old West End, developed on land owned primarily by the Pryor family. It's strongly related to its surrounding area as one of these early rural estates, and several of these were developed on the Pryor family's former estate. It's also one of several institutional buildings in the area, and specifically on this block of Oxford Street, as is shown in the aerial image on the slide. This includes Beth Israel Synagogue, Armbrae Academy, the First Baptist Church of Halifax, and of course, Dalhousie University across the street. Due to its role as an early Old West End estate, being the only remaining of similar architectural assets in the area, and its relationship to the institutional uses which surround it, staff recommend a score between 6 and 10 points for the relationship to the surrounding area. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. So we've been offered 6 to 10 as a suggested range.
It's Lois. I would support a 9 or a 10. It is absolutely integral.
I wonder, can you see the northwest arm from the Widow's Walk? That's just a rhetorical question. So we hear a 9 from Lois in terms of its relationship to the surrounding area. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I would support a 9 or a 10 as well. I think it's a central part of the neighborhood. It's connected to Dalhousie and to other things, and Dalhousie is kind of that anchor within that whole neighborhood. So yeah. I would say probably a 10.
Yeah, I think the Dal connection gives it, and the location gives it, makes it worthy of a 10. Anyone else?
Iona, I would support a 10.
Councillor, thank you very much. So I think it sounds like a 10 for this this category.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And here on the slide is the recommendation for the committee. I'll leave this up here.
So we have a motion. Is there any more discussion, any more questions before we put the motion on the table? Here's that its property is scored 64, which puts it well within the range of qualifying for the Heritage Registry. So if there's no more discussion, perhaps I could get somebody from the floor to put the proposal for a vote. Can anyone care to volunteer to read the proposal?
I don't mind reading that, Patrick.
Cassandra? All right, thank you very much.
The Heritage Advisory Committee recommends that Regional Council, 1, set a date for a heritage hearing to consider the inclusion of the subject property in the Registry of Heritage Property for the Halifax Regional Municipality, and 2, approve the request to include 1460 Oxford Street, Halifax, in the Registry of Heritage Property for the Halifax Regional Municipality, as shown on map 1 as a municipal heritage property under the Heritage Property Act. I so move.
Thank you very much, Cassandra. And does anyone second that motion?
I'll second, Iona.
Iona, thank you so much. So all those in favor of the motion as read, can I hear an aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any nays?
I just want to say affirmative.
All right, then we have added 1460 Oxford Street, or at least on the way to adding 1460 Oxford Street to the registry. I believe that that concludes our business for the day. I'm sure the property owner will be very happy with this development. So I believe now we have to set a meeting for set a date for our next meeting. My laptop has gone blank. Simon, could you remind us? It's the last Wednesday of November, which
Yes, thank you, Chair. The next scheduled meeting is November 30th, 2022.
all right. All right, and I believe that concludes our meeting. So if I could entertain a proposal to conclude to, whoops.
Motion to adjourn, sir. 3:26.
Motion to adjourn from Councillor Hensby. Do I have anyone to second that?
I'll second.
Councillor Stoddard, thank you. All those, well, we don't even need to take a vote. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing everyone next November.